Hey everyone, Dockwell here, and welcome to another one of my Dota 2 hero guides. Today we're going to be taking a look at Techies. So Techies is one of the most interesting heroes in all of Dota. In the past, before 7.31, it was one of the most annoying heroes in Dota. I think almost everybody hated this hero. If you didn't play Techies, you hated Techies. And I didn't play Techies, I hated Techies. This hero was so annoying. If it was in the game, if it was on any team, your team or the other team, it didn't matter. It was kind of ruining the game because if it was on your team, it felt like it was always a 4v5 the whole time because you just had Techies AFK usually placing mines all around the map. And then if it was on the other team, it's so annoying because you can't go high ground, you can't go in a jungle, you can't even go to some lane sometimes because you just might instantly explode if you were a carry or mid or something if you didn't have sentries or a gem on you. It was the most annoying hero in the game, and it really wasn't Dota. So they reworked it in patch 7.31, and I think now it's a much better hero just in design in general, but also I think it's a better hero actually just all around. It actually is a viable hero now. It's pretty good. This hero, overall, it does a ton of magic burst damage. You can still blow people up. So it still kind of is the same as the old Techies in the sense that it works the same way in that its strength is the same and it can still blow people up. It does a lot of magic damage. You kind of burst people full to zero, but it doesn't work exactly the same. It's not just like, it doesn't feel as cheap. It doesn't feel as, one-dimensional. It's not as crazy weird of a hero. It doesn't like deny parts of the map as much as the old Techies did. Instead, it's more of a team fight hero where you blow people up, you do a ton of magic damage, and you're really annoying in team fights, and you kind of have to skill shot your abilities a little bit more, which makes it more viable because it's a little bit skillful. It's something where you have to be in team fights, you're playing around your team, you're doing a lot of damage in those fights, and you're kind of causing a lot of havoc in that way. And so, as such, this hero plays, I think, two main positions right now. The main position is mid or 4 position. I think it's more of a 4 position, and I'll explain why in a little bit, but it can go mid. We've seen Thompson playing mid Techies. I think he tried it at the very beginning of the patch. He kind of made it popular, I think, and I've seen some mid Techies do pretty well. This hero can kind of, take over games, do a lot of damage, but the thing is, I think it kind of belongs more in the 4 position role because you can kind of do the same thing that you do from mid at the 4 position role because you can do all that damage, you can burst people down, you can stun people, all these kinds of things with honestly very little farm. You really only need your shard, you need maybe ethereal blade, and that's honestly pretty much it, and you can just absolutely destroy games, and I've seen it in my pubs and other pubs as well. So that's pretty much Techies. That's how to think about Techies. I think, obviously, the main thing for Techies is BKB is really good against this hero. That's kind of one of the main counters. Obviously, killing the hero, getting on top of the hero, scouting, vision, all these kinds of things is really good against Techies. Any kind of dispel like Manta or things like that to get rid of the disarm is really, really good. But otherwise, I mean, this hero is largely all about, surprising you, jumping in on you, counter-initiating or initiating on you, and kind of killing you full to zero while you pretty much can't do anything. But I think BKB is really the biggest counter to this hero. Otherwise, I mean, this hero's really good. I think it's just underrated right now. I think people think it's decent, but I think it's actually, as the patch goes on, as the months go on, maybe even in the next patch, people will realize how good this hero is, and it will be picked a lot, and it will kind of be top on people's list as they figure out how to play it. But in any case, that's Techies. That's how to think about Techies. Now let's jump in and take a look at his abilities. So now that we understand Techies in general, we can take a look at his abilities and see how he's able to be that high magic damage, burst damage hero that causes a lot of chaos in team fights like I talked about. So first we're going to take a look at Sticky Bomb. So Sticky Bomb is his Q ability, and this is the ability you're probably going to use first of all in lane and these kinds of things, but it also offers some usefulness later in the game as well. So first you just basically click it and you cast it anywhere in an AoE. You can kind of throw a bomb, and then, a bomb comes out, it goes into that AoE, and it explodes after a short duration. But really what you want to do is you actually want to throw it at an enemy, not only because you want it to obviously do damage to the enemy, but because if it lands on an enemy, like Axe here, it'll actually stick to the enemy, and it'll follow him around, and it slows him for the duration. So it slows him once it sticks to him, then it explodes, and it slows afterwards. But it doesn't just slow him. It will also slow any enemy that he is near when it explodes. So once it explodes, they're both slowed now. So honestly, the damage is pretty good. It's pretty high damage once you can hit a bunch of them. It has a relatively low cooldown, 6 seconds at max level. That's pretty good. You can use multiple of these in fights. You can use this in lane a lot. But it also really gives that slow that's really, really good. That's a very, very high percentage movement speed slow that just allows your enemies to not escape. It allows your teammates to get, in position to use follow-up stuns, follow follow-up damage, all these kinds of things to finish off the enemy. So it's a very, very good ability in that sense. So that's Sticky Bomb. Pretty straightforward, but a very good ability for damage and harassing and slowing. Next, we're going to skip W. We're going to go to Blast Off. So Blast Off is the only, main ability that he had before that he still has. He did have Red Mines as like kind of a basic ability, but now it's his ultimate and they changed it a little bit. But Blast Off is pretty much the same as it was before. If you knew how Techies worked before, there's only a few small differences. So basically what you do with this ability is you can click it and it has a AoE like you see there, pretty good cast range. And there's an AoE where the ability is affecting the ground. And so what you do is you click it where you want it to go, you charge up for a little bit, then you jump in and you do damage not only to the enemy, but also to yourself, and you silence them for a pretty long time at max level. So you can see how that can be a pretty good ability to harass, to jump in, to initiate, all these kinds of things. But you do damage to yourself, which is kind of weird. In the past, you actually used to be able to deny yourself. So the old Techies, what would happen is you would trade a lot, you would harass a lot, and then you would jump in at low HP, you would kill yourself, you would deny yourself, then you would respawn in Fountain, obviously, but you don't give the experience or gold to the enemy, which is a really, really good way to be annoying in lane and also, effectively use your trading. But you can no longer do that with this ability. You can no longer deny yourself. That is something that they're kind of taking out of Dota in general. But what they did, instead of the denying, instead of kind of using that as the way to escape and get out of danger, what they kind of introduced instead is this W ability, which is Reactive Taser. So what you do is you can jump in, you do damage, you silence, but then you can press Reactive Taser. You become kind of electrocuted here, and then whenever enemies attack you, they become disarmed for a pretty long time, which is pretty effective. As you can see, they can no longer attack you. And then after the duration, which is about 6 seconds, I believe, then you explode kind of in an AoE, so we'll press it again. We can see that nobody's disarmed here, silenced, or anything like that. But then once this ends, and there's an explosion, now everyone is disarmed in that AoE. So this is a really, really good way to basically initiate and to get out of danger, because you're going to put yourself in a vulnerable position, you're doing damage to yourself, but obviously you put yourself in the fight, but now it's really, really annoying for them to attack you, and then they don't really want to stand next to you, because once the explosion happens, they're going to be disarmed. So it's really annoying in team fights, all these kinds of things. It's just a way for you to be survivable and cause chaos. It forces enemies to pop BKB because now they could potentially be disarmed and silenced if you used Blast Off, all these kinds of things. You might have sticky bombed them potentially, and now they're slowed as well. They're going to take damage. It can just be super, super annoying to use all of these in concert together. So that's all the main abilities that Techies has. Before I talk about the red mines, I'll just talk about this minefield sign. This is kind of a holdover from the old Techies. You can place a minefield sign down, and basically all that does is it hides the mines of his ultimate, which we'll take a look at in a second. So these ultimate mines, which are called red mines, proximity mines, you can just place them in an AoE, and it just puts a mine down on the ground, and then if the enemy walks towards it, it will explode after a short delay and do a significant amount of damage. It's pretty good damage at max level. Now, you can place it down next to an enemy, and it will explode after a short delay. It'll actually do more damage to the enemy that's closer than it is farther away. So you can see I placed it right next to this axe. This axe took more damage than that axe. The other thing that can happen is when you place it down, the axe can just right-click the mine, and then it just deletes the mine, and it just takes one right-click and it's gone. So keep that in mind when you do place it, like in a team fight, these kinds of things. That's another way that the disarm can be really good, because if they're disarmed, then they can't click the potential mines that you're placing down as well. The other thing is when you place the mine down randomly on the ground, the enemy can't see where it is unless they walk over it. So if we refresh them here, basically if the axe walks over it, he could see it, but he actually has to, have good movement speed, good attack speed, potentially be a ranged hero to actually even click it in time to delete it, because there he can't even get there in time without boots and everything to actually click the mine. So just keep that in mind. And that's what the mine sign does then. When you click it here, doesn't matter really what the axe does. He can't see the mine. It's hard to see from his perspective, but he basically can't see the mine, so it'll just explode regardless. But they do have that small, audio warning to know to let them know there is a mine there. So even if you place a mine in trees and they walk over it, they can kind of know that, hey, an explosion might be coming. So now, the way to synergize all of these abilities together is basically kind of straightforward. You're going to want to jump in with Blast Off. Then you can potentially use your taser so they can't kill you, maybe sticky mine somebody and place a couple mines around and blow people up, do a ton of damage. It's a significant amount of damage. But the thing to keep in mind is when you do jump in there, the red mines can't be placed right next to each other. So if I'm placing a red mine here, I can't actually place a red mine right on top of it. That was actually too close to the axe, it was going to explode. I can't place a red mine right on top of it. It just won't let me do it. So what I need to do is I need to place a red mine kind of outside of this circle there, and then I'm allowed to basically place them. So what you want to do is you kind of want to place the mines in this triangular pattern. So you kind of place it right there, and then you have a straight line. Those are as close as they can be. And then you kind of place it right here on the corner, and that's a triangular pattern. Now, basically, in this little circle here, that does a ton of damage. Any enemy in that AoE that blinks in there, or is maybe standing there when you place all of them, they are going to take a ton of damage. But this is going to be kind of hard to combo together. It's not really going to be something that's easy to pull off, you know, when you jump in. And yeah, they're silenced. Maybe they're disarmed. Maybe you use a sticky bomb. But these all have cast animations, you know. Maybe they're not going to click you because they know they're going to get disarmed. This is all kind of hard to execute, especially when you're going to try to place all of these mines down and, you know, get them at the right spot. So how do we solve those issues? Well, this is what makes Techies really good, because if you just had all of these things just by themselves, I don't really think this hero would be viable or good at all, really. But this is what makes this hero good. So the Shard is something you're going to buy every single game. And what the Shard does is the Shard allows Blast Off to stun as well. Not just silence, but also stun. So this makes your initiation way better. So you can jump in, not only are they silenced, but they're stunned for a good amount of time. This allows you to get off sticky bombs. This allows you to place red mines, etc. The other thing that's important that you want to buy almost every game is Aether Lens, and this is largely because it's kind of hard to place this triad of mines when, you know, you're stunning them, because you kind of have to walk around, because the cast range isn't like huge here for this ability, even though, I mean, it's pretty good, but if you're trying to place this, you know, trio of mines, it's better to have this Aether Lens. Plus, this allows you to blast off from a lot further away. You can see how far this blast off ability is. Because this Shard helps it as well. So you can blast off from super far away. But the big thing that this Shard helps you do then is give that time to basically place 3 proximity mines down. So I'll just show you a combo really quick. You kind of just want to blast off in there. You want to place a mine down in 3 locations, and they pretty much all explode really quickly. Now, I did it kind of slowly just to show you how to do that. But if you get really good, you can kind of place all 3 really quickly once you learn the AoE. I'm just not the best Techies player. I haven't really played this hero all that much, but basically you can get them really quickly, but you can see if you press in the wrong area, it'll, you know, not work. But that's pretty much how you want to combo this hero. It can be really effective, and then the last item you need to buy is basically Ethereal Blade. With these 3 items, basically, Aether Lens, Shard, and Ethereal Blade, this hero is absolutely ridiculous. So let's take this axe here. We'll move the 1 away. Well, actually, why don't we just run the axe into these bombs, and then we'll refresh them here, get them out of the way, so we have a nice clean area to play with. Why don't we get like an observer ward so we can actually see what's going on? Okay, so I'm really far away. This cast range is insane. So I see an enemy on the observer ward here. This guy's at like the max range. This is super far away. There's no way at nighttime that he sees me right now. What I can do is I can basically blast off, and then Ethereal Blade him, sticky bomb him, and proximity bomb him, and I will basically kill him full to 0. Actually, why don't we do this? Why don't we give this axe a heart, and why don't we give this axe level to max? So he's level 30 and has heart. He has 4k HP. I have max level here. Let's just do this. I don't have any of my talents leveled up yet, so this is just with, obviously, max red mines and max abilities here. So I'll jump in. I'll Ethereal Blade him, and I'll use these 3 mines. And then you can see how, basically, if I used the sticky mine, I didn't do that perfectly. But I did basically like 3/4 of this guy's HP. So he has 4k HP. I did over 3,000 damage of HP, basically, with that combo, which is absolutely insane. So if you get to level 3 red mines and you have these items, which are not that hard to get, even as a 4 position, if anybody has like under 3k HP, you can just kill them full to 0, basically. It's absolutely ridiculous. So we'll do this again. We'll do this here. And see, I'm not perfect with it. But you can see how I just did insane damage to this guy. I almost killed him full to 0, actually. If I can get all of these red mines off in the duration of the Ethereal Blade, which is the goal, you can pretty much kill them almost full to 0. We'll try it one more time just to show you the combo. I'm not the best with it, but... there we go. And then sticky mine last. Reactive taser to potentially live, etc. There we go. Very, very good combo. This hero does insane damage. I've seen Techies basically solo win games just with this combo. And this is basically how you want to play Techies. And then you can buy pretty much everything else that you want to buy. You can buy, you know, you could potentially buy Veil. You can buy Force Staff. You can buy Sheep. You can buy, you know, anything else that helps this combo. But this hero is absolutely ridiculous with this crazy combo. And this is pretty much how you play Techies. So that's Techies. Those are all of his abilities. That's how to combo them in general. And I think this is a really, really good hero, a great 4 position that can be super, super dominant in team fights and in the game in general. So that's Techies. That's what his abilities do. Now let's jump into a game and see how he's played. So now we're jumping into a match here of Jerax playing 5-position Techies here, and I decided to use this game just because of the way that he played and how, you know, effective he was. They did a lot of trading at the rune. They got 1-for-1, so that's why he was a little bit low and went back and then TP to the lane. But basically, you're going to be playing, you know, 4 or 5 position regardless the same way in the lane. You're kind of going to harass the same way, you're going to play Techies the same way, and then you're going to do the same kind of warding and pulling game that I talk about in a lot of other videos from the 4 and 5 position. But you can see how basically this sticky bomb is really, really low cooldown level 1. I mean, max level at 6, but even, you know, level 1, 12 seconds, that's a pretty low cooldown. You can use this a lot in lane. You have decent mana pools. You can use many, many sticky bombs. You trade really well. And I will say in the past, one of the things that made this hero a little bit more balanced in lane was that his right-click attack damage was really, really low. He had, like, you know, very, very bad right-click damage. But now he actually has 54. This isn't that bad with some of the stats that he's bought here. It's really not that bad. And this hero has a really, really long attack range. Like, you can see how far he's attacking. It's absolutely ridiculous how far he's attacking right there. If that Necro didn't have Fairy Fire, he pretty much would have died very, very easily. You can see how he's juking out this Clockwork, pops the salve, runs away. Very effective. Obviously, very high skill stuff here from Jerax. Really, really good at what he's doing. But you can see how annoying he's being in the lane. They do end up killing the Necro. The Monkey ends up... Monkey King ends up getting the kill, and then they also get the kill on the Clockwork. And this is largely due to just his harass damage. It's just ridiculous what this hero can do in the lane like this. And now he's level 3. He has 57 right-click damage with insane right-click range. He has these 2 nukes that do ridiculous damage in lane, and it's just so hard for these heroes to lane against them. And so we'll just speed it up here. You can just see, basically, this is how you lane as a Techies. You just use your nukes to harass them down, slowly whittle them down, constantly click them from range, because you pretty much are such long range that you can click them without really aggroing the creeps too much. And yeah, you just become this super, super annoying nuisance, and then if the lane ever pushes too hard, you just go back and pull like you usually do with most 5 positions. That's pretty much how you play Techies in the lane. This hero's absolutely ridiculous in the lane. With all of the things that I just mentioned. So, yeah, that's Techies' laning stage. It's actually pretty straightforward, pretty simple. There's nothing really too much more complicated than that. We can see how effective they are at dominating this lane, him and this Monkey King. So I jumped ahead a little bit here because this is kind of the transition out of the laning stage. He did really, really well in his lane, so now he's coming mid to gank, and I don't think it's really going to work, but I just wanted to show you this clip to mention something that I didn't actually mention in the abilities section of the game, and that's that red mines actually do damage to towers. So he places the red mine down there to try to clear the creep wave, because basically one red mine will almost clear the creep wave level 1, but you actually need 2, but he actually does pretty significant damage to the towers. You can see, look at how much tower damage was taken there just from those 2 red mines. It's pretty significant, and so that's just one thing that Techies can do as well. He also can push towers. This hero does a little bit of everything. You can see he just survives on a sliver of HP. Absolutely ridiculous. I think these infused raindrops helped him there. But in any case, that's definitely something you want to do as Techies. You can push towers. You can help your mid push towers. You can push, the safe lane tower, the enemy's off lane tower, etc., etc. Any towers that you're pushing, this hero can definitely help with that. This hero also is really good once you win your lane. If you're effective in your lane, he's really good at ganking. Obviously, didn't really work out there. He didn't find the gank. It wasn't great to be in those positions, so instead he just decided to push the tower. But you can really, really get off some effective ganks with this hero because of the cast range that you actually have with your blast off and the slow from the sticky bomb. If you can catch the enemy mid and the enemy mid doesn't have any kind of mobility spell out of position, this hero is really, really effective at ganking in those early parts of the game as well. And you don't even have to gank mid. You could gank, if you're forward position, you could gank for your safe lane, you can gank for your mid, and that way you can, wherever you need to go, any other lane that you can go to effectively help, you're definitely able to do that if that's something that you need to do if you really crushed your lane as Techies. So again, I fast forwarded a few minutes here, and I just wanted to show you this clip because this is obviously a pretty tanky level 8, he's level 7, he's had a really great game, but this is basically what you can do with this hero is, it's so hard for enemies to run away from you because of the sticky bomb slow when it's at max level that you can use over and over and over again. Pretty much it's almost like permanent slow because you obviously use it, he's slowed for the duration after the bomb goes off, and then it comes off cooldown almost immediately. So you can see there, obviously the Tiny didn't want to dive the tower, tried to retreat, and then in the duration that he could like basically just go from the tower to his side of the map, it allowed, you know, all of his teammates to come to help gank. And so this hero is extremely hard to get away from, not only just because of the sticky bomb, but then eventually you get the silence, so you can jump in, that stun, all these different things. It's so hard to deal with this hero. So early on in the game, that kind of early game portion after the laning stage, when you usually have this sticky bomb maxed out, you're kind of going to be doing two things. You're going to be defending or pushing towers with your red mines, and then you're also going to be chasing people down with this maxed out sticky bomb that you can just throw over and over and over again, and it just is impossible for people to leave or to get out of position. It's so easy to chase them down. Also, really quick, right there at the end, I don't know if you saw that, but you could also use the sticky bomb to kind of scout out for wards on high grounds as well. So if you place down a sentry ward, you can use the sticky bomb to give vision in an area to de-ward. So it's another kind of little small thing as a support that you can effectively use your abilities to help you, you know, maximize your warding and these kinds of things, your vision in the, the map game, the vision game, etc. So that's kind of Techies mid game. That's just pretty much what you want to be doing. You just want to be annoying people with your abilities in side lanes and ganks, sitting behind your strong heroes. And you can see how Necro, you know, obviously the Invoker put down the ice wall there, but it just, the Necro can't escape. He gets sticky bombed, he's slowed, there's just nowhere to go. And that's pretty much how you're going to want to play this hero in that mid portion of the game. Now, I fast forwarded a little bit here, and basically for the last, 5 minutes or so, he's just kind of been playing with his team, using his sticky bombs to track people down, using his blast off and silence and all these kinds of things. He hasn't really placed many mines other than to clear some waves and in team fights to do damage. But one of the things that he's doing right here is he's placing his mines on ramps offensively, kind of aggressively in the enemy jungle. And this is something you can still do. Obviously, the old Techies, you would just mine these things, put green mines here. They would explode people instantly and kill them. That's not really how this hero works anymore. He doesn't blow people up full to zero just arbitrarily, randomly when they run up a ramp or something. But this is stuff you can still do because your mines give a little bit of vision, and even despite that vision, you pretty much will know whenever an enemy walks up this cliff. So now, from now on, basically, if they leave this area of the map, they go back, they retreat for whatever reason, they go to their triangle, they do different things, they ward other parts of the map. It's just like mini wards. It's like kind of securing a little part of the map. If he places mines here, if he places mines on this ramp, it's a lot harder for the enemy to, say, go to the Roshan pit to try to sneak across this part of the map because they have to, pass through mines to get there. So that's a little bit of something you can still do with Techies. It's not going to be a way to kind of just blow people up instantly, but it is a way to kind of secure map area and to scout out things and to make sure you know where people are on the map whenever the enemy is moving around. So it's just a little bit of a map trick there, a little bit of a way to secure the map as Techies. So now I just want to show you this team fight really quick here, because the main way you're going to be using this hero in team fights is basically counter-initiating. So obviously they go in, the monkey pops the ultimate, and then he jumps in and gets a double stun off. And this is pretty much what you want to be doing as Techies. You want to sit in the back, let everybody else go in first, your initiators, your cores, etc. You sit in the back, you wait for a good opportunity to use your blast off. You blast off, then you potentially use sticky bombs, remote mines. He's very low though, so as soon as he goes in, he wants to get out because they did Roche. There was kind of a mini fight that happened before that as well. Well, I didn't really want to show you because his impact wasn't very good, or wasn't very great. But that's the main way that you're going to be wanting to play Techies in fights, kind of sitting in the back, using blast off, looking for an opportunity to counter-initiate, all these kinds of things, then potentially using your mines for damage. The other thing that you want to do is I kind of already showed you how to, use mines for positioning, for map control, these kinds of things. This is also a good way to use them to potentially push out waves, to push the map and pressure the map on the enemy side. So he used one mine now at level 2 to clear an entire wave, and then he placed another one there to kind of clear another wave later on in the game. It's almost like TA traps in a lot of ways, where you can just kind of clear mines from far away, or clear waves from far away. So that's a really, really effective way to put pressure on the map without having to be there ahead of time. So it's a very effective thing to do that I just wanted to show you there as well. But that's kind of the main way that you're going to be team fighting with Techies. That's really how you need to think about the hero with team fighting, is just counter-initiating those kinds of things. Now, the last thing I want to show you is kind of how to play the team fight when you're not just kind of counter-initiating in a way. I mean, he's still going to counter-initiate, but this is more of an example of how you can just blow people up from full to zero, do insane damage. You can do this when you're ganking. You can do this, when it's only one here. You can do this in a team fight. So you can see how he lays a mine down, uses the sticky, and then jumps right in and kills the Tiny basically from half HP. This is a super tanky Tiny. I mean, Tiny has insane HP. Let's see. Tiny has 3.6k HP. That's a lot of HP. he had a little bit over half HP and he killed him full to 0. That's kind of ridiculous how much damage he did there. So we can just rewind a little bit and show you what he did there. So he's full health. He has plenty of mana. He only has one red mine available here other than the ones that are already placed down. He finally gets the second one. He places the first one, jumps in, places that down, and then gets the kill on him here with that sticky bomb. That's a ridiculous amount of damage to do there to a Tiny, to a carry. That's a perfect example of how you can do this. You can do this solo pickoffs, you can do this in side lanes, you can do this with teammates like ganking, or you can do this in team fights like we see here. So that's just a great example of how you can do so much damage. Kind of like I talked about. Now, if he had more items, if he wasn't just the 5 position, didn't go for the 4 staff, which is, I mean, it's good that he went this. I think it was the right play. It's the right call. He went for more defensive items being a 4 position, but, you know, if he has Ethereal Blade, if he goes more offensive, carry-oriented items, he could totally just destroy people. You can see how much damage he's doing in this fight. He's practically carrying the fight by himself with that buyback and such in there. This hero is really ridiculous, as you can see. So that is pretty much how to play Techies. This hero is a lot of fun now. It's not as annoying as it used to be. I mean, it's pretty annoying still. It can do a lot of damage. It can still be a nuisance in the lane and later in the game, but at least there's some skill involved. There's some skill shots, timings, etc. that you need to, you know, get down. It's not just placing mines all over the map and instant jibbing people. So that's Techies. That's how to play it. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all of those kinds of things. Join the Discord if you haven't already. You can request replay reviews there. I do them every Friday. Community games on my Twitch where we play as a community. We just do, you know, lobbies and stuff is every Saturday as well. So be sure to tune in for that. If you want coaching, go to my Patreon. You can also support me there. If you want to see more videos like this, consider supporting me so I can keep doing this into the future. And as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.